day, we're really focused on delivering the month, the quarter, and the year, and it's very easy to get lost in the operational aspect of serving customers and employees and stakeholders. But if we don't really understand where we're going and why we're doing things, it's really easy to get off track. We have a great team at Trillium Flow Technology, but oftentimes we're so focused on execution that I'm concerned that we're going to miss some really important changes in the market, strategic changes. So we try to
Welcome to an episode of Strategic Conversations. We host insightful discussions with top business leaders. Today, we are hosting Mr. David Paradis, the CEO of Trillium Flow Technologies. Mr. Paradis will be a speaker at the Houston Strategy Forum's upcoming Customer Symposium, and we are excited to host him. He has shared a few things here about how he views strategy and strategic thinking, and that really has gotten me excited. I did ask him his permission for me to fall in love with him based on what he shared. So I think it's been very interesting to host him on September 29th. I am Ravi Kathuria, the president of the Houston Strategy Forum and author of the management and leadership book, How Cohesive is Your Company, and author of Happy Soul, Hungry Mind. Strategic conversations are hosted by the Houston Strategy Forum. If you value these conversations, please hit like and subscribe to the Houston Strategy Forum's YouTube channel. Today's episode is sponsored by Cohegic, the management consulting and executive coaching firm. Thank you for joining us, and we are looking forward to a great, insightful, strategic discussion with Mr. Paradis. David, thank you for taking the time for being here today as part of the strategic conversation, and also especially for being a part of the speaker panel on September 29th at our customer symposium. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you, and I really look forward to this discussion and the symposium on the 29th. It's going to be a great discussion.
Yes, no, absolutely. Sir, I want you to, I wish I had been recording when you so very well articulated the need for strategic thinking in companies, right? And for executives to develop that. So I would love for you to talk about that for a few minutes before we get into the other aspects.
Well, as we go about our day to day, we're really focused on delivering the month, the quarter, and the year, and it's very easy to get lost in the operational aspect of serving customers and employees and stakeholders. But if we don't really understand where we're going and why we're doing things, it's really easy to get off track. We have a great team at Trillium Flow Technology, but oftentimes we're so focused on execution that I'm concerned that we're going to miss some really important changes in the market, strategic changes. So we try to take our time to really understand where our end markets are going, where our customers are going, and quite frankly, all the other influences on the business, changing cultures, changing employee base and needs and wants, and I could go on. So it's just very important for us to really understand what's going around us, and what we want to do strategically, and keep that in mind and take the time to think through it and then plan accordingly. And I've always said, we put strategy first, then we put our structure in place, then we get the right people doing the things that are driving that strategy.
I cannot tell you, sir, how much I appreciate what you just said and how much I love it, because for 30 years, I have been an executive coach to CEOs. I've been a management advisor. I've been a management consultant. And I say this often, the culture in Houston is very operational, right? And I've had to grab executives and say, and I haven't really grabbed somebody and literally shook them, but I've thought about it. But really to tell them, you are so busy with your operations. If you thought about things and gave it a little strategic thought, you would not have to run like a hamster in a wheel all the time because they're so consumed, right? And if you when you begin to think about things strategically, and to your important point, is that the marketplace is changing, customers are changing, and customers don't always know where they're headed. And so staying in sync with customers in itself is a huge challenge, right? You have to understand what your clients are thinking, what challenges they are facing, how strategically they are repositioning themselves, and then you can develop your own strategy. I think it's a beautiful point. And the other point that you made about corporate culture is so important. One of the other CEOs that we are hosting on September 29th, he is devoted to corporate culture in his companies, and I would love to explore that at that customer symposium. Sir, tell us about Trillium Flow Technologies. Give us a sense for its breadth and depth.
Well, Trillium Flow Technologies is a global manufacturer of heavy industrial equipment that serves many end markets. We make large pumping systems for refineries around the world. We make pumping systems to transport water. We're in desal projects around the world. And then we also have a large valve and controls business. So we're very oriented around the process industries of any type, if it's food and beverage, mining, oil and gas, of course, upstream, midstream, and downstream. We do quite a bit of work in power, both conventional power, nuclear power, and of course we're doing a lot of development work around the emerging technologies such as solar and wind and other things, because we still need to find ways to capture and store and move that energy efficiently. And there's many emerging technologies around the world that we're a part of. One example I can give is applications in molten salt in solar farms, for example. People don't realize you have to capture that energy, yes, and then you have to transfer it into usable, yes, electricity. So the world's really changing. You know, we're very true to our traditional markets, but at the same time, we know that energy needs to continue to diversify and become cleaner, and quite frankly, we need a broad energy policy. In fact, I would argue more of us around the world need access to clean yet economical energy.
Absolutely, sir. The Houston Charity Forum just hosted its Energy Evolution Symposium 3 weeks ago. And we're getting ready to, in November, host our Carbon Hydrogen Symposium. And we talk about this $100 trillion market. In fact, one of our speakers at the Energy Evolution Symposium pointed out, he said, Ravi, you could be wrong. And I thought he was going to tell me that it's not as big a market. And he says, no, Ravi, it's actually a $200 trillion market. $200 trillion market. And that was the head of global commodities for Bloomberg. So this was, I figured he was saying this with some level of authority, but that is the size of the market as we look at the climate change opportunity, I should say. You know, we were talking about climate change crisis, but it is a huge opportunity. This whole new energy market is going to be a tremendous opportunity, from renewable energy to taking oil and gas and figuring out how to decarbonize it, right? There are opportunities.
I believe there's a great opportunity if you think, you know, we think strategically, right? That's what we're talking about. And for a long time, those of us connected to the nuclear industry would say to ourselves, gosh, that is, you know, nuclear, you cannot produce so much power with so little impact on the environment. Yes, there's risk, but you know, mankind really knows how to efficiently, and I say efficiently, we're getting better at that, but effectively and safely build nuclear power generation. But 5 years ago, you know, the closer we go back to the incident in Japan, we would never thought that way. But if we really stepped back and thought strategically, we would have known then, you know, 5, 10 years ago that nuclear had to be a big part of the answer. And now with the European leadership and others, we're realizing this is an area we need to invest in. And I bring that up because I think many parts of oil and gas are going to be the same. We're going to continue to drive carbon capture technology. We're going to continue to make traditional hydrocarbon-based fuels cleaner to use. Natural gas is still terribly abundant, and we have to continue to improve how we burn it for energy. Yeah. I think it's going to be a big part of hydrocarbons will be a big part of the solution while we're doing all these other great yes. Things like solar, yes. Like wind, like hydrogen. And to me, that's great. And that's coming back to this the strategy standpoint of this. Great example. This is where companies are having to look at strategy based on their investors and their expectation. And quite frankly, they're getting their funds from, or their capital from, many stakeholders now have a voice in the strategic process, right? And energy is a great example. On the 29th, we'll be talking about the customer's perspective. And as I mentioned to you earlier, it's so easy to focus on everybody else's because we have to. But I also say we've got to get back to the customer aspect as well. Yes. And in this case, we're talking about energy. I really believe it's the consumer, and we need to find clean, affordable energy around the world for consumers.
No, absolutely. And I want to have that customer discussion. And a thought is going through my mind is that I should invite you back to be part of our Carbon Hydrogen Symposium when we do it on November 29th, because we are going to talk about this very issue of making the right bets, right? And I appreciate you bringing up nuclear, because we need to evaluate every solution that is available to us objectively, right? And realistically and holistically, instead of getting caught up in rhetoric and making assumptions, right? Things have moved and things have developed, and so making the right bets intelligently and strategically. I think, sir, you should be part of that. So let's talk about the event that is coming up in less than 2 weeks, the customer symposium. How do you go about getting a sense for what are your customers' true value drivers, right? And who do you in the corporation, who do you in the organization identify as the client contact who truly could appreciate the value that you're bringing, right? Because if I have to have the right person who has an appreciation for it, how do you find out which are the right value drivers, and who is the person who can appreciate these value drivers that you're delivering?
Well, one of the great things about many corporations and organizations today is they're very, I'll call it team-based, or at least people have a voice and input to the process, or in this case, on the customer side, decision-making. So, let's take a large multinational project, where someone's building a large power plant, like a nuclear plant. Obviously, you've got the engineering contractors, they have a group of needs. The end client has a group of needs. So if we just focus with the client, they obviously want to run a safe and affordable plant. They want, really manageable total cost of ownership. And I'm saying all this because I don't believe it's one person. I think you have to understand customers' needs broadly, right? Yes. So if it's the safety community and the management related to safety, if it's efficiency that customers looking for, who really cares about that? It's not so much the project team, but the guys running the plant that have to deliver the results.
Yes.
So I think there is no one person. I think it's our job as an organization to understand our customers' needs at multiple levels and from multiple perspectives. And then the nuance and the strategy work is consolidating all of that and saying, okay, based on this information, we're going here. And even the CEO of a company may not truly know what's driving some of the operational imperatives or other things going on in a particular project. And if you can help align, your solutions with the customers at that level, it's very, very productive. So my answer to that question would be, you've got to get it from multiple levels in the organization and multiple perspectives. And then from that, you can distill a solid strategy.
And how does Trillium outcompete? How do you create a compelling reason for customers and these teams to really appreciate the value you deliver, right? What is the value you deliver that is different than other companies who are also in the space?
Great question. And again, customers are going to have different points of influence throughout the value chain. As we approach the customer, we'll have different needs, but we try to differentiate first and foremost through technology and quality. Okay. Because if we differentiate through technology and quality, then we can get to the things like efficiency performance, safety performance. We build a reputation of being a safe choice. If you're building a multi-billion-dollar project, you're going to spend several $100 million on pumping equipment. You want to make sure that you're picking a supplier that is going to provide you technically what you need, yes, but they're also going to make sure that they continue to work. They're going to continue to work with you to continue to improve the performance of that equipment, the safety of that equipment, and the longevity of it. So we differentiate ourselves through technical performance, technical service and support, and the quality that we deliver.
So it's your operational excellence that you bring and provide to the customers. You talked about the reliability, the safety, and also making sure that your equipment matches exactly. It understands the needs of the design and matches the design requirements to do it. So why is it that other companies, how do you, we talked about this at the offset, is getting your team to think strategically, right? And so then it begs the question, is other companies are going to think the same. They are, if I am a customer and I hear you and I hear the other company, I'm going to hear the similar message, right? They're going to give me the same message and say, look, we focus on understanding your needs and then do that. How do I continue to, what is that strategic value driver that companies may know about, but are not able to deliver, that you would challenge your team to think about identifying and delivering?
I'm going to give you one that seems so simple.
Okay. I love simple.
You can deliver a 25, you can deliver, let's say, 9 pumps, yes, for a $25 million contract. Yes. You've met the specifications, you've done everything right, you delivered it on time, you put that equipment into the facility, they're starting that facility up, they have issues with the pumps. Yeah. You'd be surprised how many competitors in our space will be quick to go, give us a purchase order, we'll come out. Or, you know what, we've met your spec, tell us what's going on. Our philosophy is we're going to be on the ground instantaneously next to you. Yes. We're going to support you through that. Yes. And we're going to deliver a level of service and technical competence that others can't. Yes. And a willingness to do that in the spirit of helping the customer be successful. Yes. Because when you do that value that you're adding through that interaction is so important to them, because many manufacturers will quickly walk away once they feel like everything has been successfully delivered.
Yes.
Or they'll try to turn that situation immediately into another revenue stream.
Yes.
Interesting enough, it will turn into another revenue stream if you
Yes.
just manage that interaction
Yes.
correctly, because that's a need. That is a
Yes.
need the customer has.
Yes.
And it seems so simple,
Yes.
but it's not easily done, and it comes with cost and risk, right? So it's being able to differentiate in ways that other companies may not, be willing to do oftentimes.
You're absolutely right. It is simple, but it is so powerful because the follow through. We talked about customer drivers. The customer is interested in the pump. Yes, absolutely. But what the customer is more interested is getting his or her plant running and getting those operations running. And if the
Exactly.
operations are delayed, everyone from the CEO to the board members find out. And if you're a plant manager, or if you're somebody who's getting, the project manager, you're going to feel the heat, right? And so that follow through, knowing that David and his team are going to have your back, that is the biggest customer driver there is. And that's what will get customers to sleep at night just a little bit, knowing that of all the issues that they have to deal with, maybe the pumps are not something they have to worry about. How beautiful is that, sir? How
That's
beautiful
right.
is that? I hope everyone who is watching this video will be there September 29th, because we want to understand from Mr. Paradis and his team at Trillium Flow how they look at their strategy, how they make it simple, how they figure out how to truly create customer value. This is going to be a great discussion on September 29th. I hope you all will take the time. Sir, tell us on September 29th, what is going to be your message to the world? What will you want to share and highlight on September 29th?
My message is simple. Take the time to understand the customer's needs, the customer's underlying strategy before you build your plans and start to execute. I think too many times we believe in we have these old biases that have been with us throughout our careers that we've developed, and the world is changing quickly. Customers' needs are changing quickly. Where customers and how customers are operating is changing. Yeah. And I would say it's more important now than ever to take the time and really understand your customers. And most of us deal with customers that are very complex in nature. Yeah. So you have to understand many aspects of the customers, their projects, and strategically where they're going, and taking the time to do that, not just in your commercial teams or your marketing teams, but in your legal teams, your finance your finance organization, those types of things. Make sure people really understand your key customers. You can't do, that's the other thing, is you can't do this for everyone. Yes. But you really have to be able to segment your markets and your customers, and then really prioritize those that you're really going to understand and align with, that are going to lead in the marketplace, and they're going to pull other customers along with. And of course, picking those is critical. So it's really about taking the time and focusing on these things, not just once when you do your annual plan. Yes. Or your 5-year rolling plan, but in real time. This kind of thinking needs to be embedded in an organization.
Sir, I love it. I am so excited that you're going to be there. I look forward to hosting you. Thank you for your time today, and thank you for being part of the Customer Symposium at the Houston Strategy Forum, September 29th. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. I look forward to it.